Welcome back to the Zenny V Show. We are today at episode 15. And last week, if you didn't catch episode 14, I dived into courage and what it really means to step into your authentic courage and really be vulnerable as a leader and really understand what that means. So if you haven't checked that out, go back, have a look. But today I am in a great conversation with the incredible Lisa Micale, and she is the founder of Golden Brands, a community and events platform helping women to really grow in their business through confidence and connection and a great coaching strategy. Lisa and I have actually known each other for many years. She used to be a client of mine back when I had my Fit Tribe business. And now we are connecting again on a deeper level with the same vision, mission, and values. With over a decade of entrepreneurial experiences across 4 businesses, Lisa now mentors women across New Zealand and Australia to start and scale businesses that truly are the authentic version of themselves. She's the host of the Golden Success podcast, curator of the annual Golden Success conference, and a passionate advocate for building brands that are led with clarity, confidence, and heart. So let's get into it. I can't wait to hear your takeaways of this incredible conversation. Hello and welcome, Lisa. It is so wonderful to have you here on the Danny V Show. I'm so grateful for you taking the time out for us.
Well, thank you so much, Danny, for having me. It's so great to reconnect with you after all of these years.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, Lisa and I were just chatting before we pressed record, and we knew each other 5 years ago it was, and that's when I ran my Fit Tribe business, and she was a mama that used to come to my boot camps. And now her baby is 8. Yeah. So it was a long time ago.
It is a long time.
Yeah.
But crazy we've kind of ended up in different industries from what we were back then, but yeah, in very similar kind of positions and businesses, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The universe has brought us back together. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start out today just asking you about alignment within business, because, you know, you work with a lot of small business owners and you run your incredible Golden Brands conference that is so impactful and so intentional the way that you build it. And, you know, I guess one of the big aspects of leadership and being a business owner that I'm really passionate about is that we really need to start stepping away from the hustle and the constant push to be something. So I would love to ask what your advice to the listeners are on how they can actually make and align decisions to bring more joy, more freedom, and more meaning into their business and life.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is coming from a place of I've had multiple businesses in the past where I've got extremely burnt out. And when I created this business, I knew everything I didn't want to do again. Like I just knew that I couldn't hustle, work like a crazy person and end up at that same point that I was in my last business, because it took me a really long time to come back from that after I got to the point where I just kind of hit extreme burnout. Yeah. And I know now, I know the red flags and the signs to look for to avoid that happening again. But when I created Golden Brands right from the beginning, I've got 2 young boys now, my priorities have changed a little bit, and I want to be just as present as a mother and a wife as I do a business owner. So I really had to create a business model that I knew would be scalable, that wouldn't require me to be pushing, hustling 24/7. Of course, there are seasons in business that you do need to hustle, and that's just kind of unavoidable, especially when you're going into a launch or bringing in some new offerings or whatever it may be. Definitely seasons, but I think recognizing that it's a season and there's seasons that you push and there's seasons where you take a bit of a break or you kind of, I guess, scale back or just work on, I don't know, the core things that you need to do to keep your business moving forward. So it's really important for me that with Golden Brands, I find the things that do really light me up, that bring me joy, and I'm always reassessing what's on my plate. And if there are things in there that I'm like, this is just something I am dreading doing, I look at any way I can possibly cut that or delegate it.
Yeah.
I just don't do it because I just don't have the capacity to be doing things that drowning my energy, taking up all of my time, and things that, if I go to bed at night dreading something I have to do the next morning, I'm like, there needs to be something to change immediately. I can't live in this space where I'm so consumed by my work, it's stressing me out. I'm dreading the things that I'm going to have to do. So I'm always just kind of reassessing and looking at the things in my business that are making me really happy, that are bringing me a lot of joy, and really just like prioritizing those things and what's the word for it? Like making that a bigger part of my work
Yeah.
week as much as I possibly can. Of course, there's things in business that we all don't like doing, like accounting or admin, but I've got to a place now where I can really try and delete or delegate out things that are not filling my cup anymore in my business.
I really love that delete or delegate because you can really expand. So to expand and grow as a business owner and as a leader as well is just understanding that you can't do it all and stop trying to like create this business where only you can run it and finding that joy. And I love how you said you don't want to go to bed dreading what you're going to do the next day.
Mhm.
And if you are, why don't you start delegating that out? Or how can you delete
Yeah.
that out of your business if it's something that you're really dreading? Because why are you doing what you're doing if that's, impacting
Yeah.
you in that way? Yeah.
Yeah. And that was when in my last business, I've had 3 businesses before this one. And when it got to the point where I was like going to bed every single night, stressed out, absolutely dreading having to wake up in the morning and do the work, I knew something had to change. And in all of those businesses, it was like, okay, I am either closing this or I'm selling it or I'm pivoting, but I need to get out of it because this is no longer serving me. It is no longer aligned. And I feel like now the business I've created, it just feels so aligned. And I'm really clear on like the vision, what I'm working
Yeah.
towards. And that's the difference between this business and what I've done previously.
And you've just been so clever in business in saying that because you've learnt from the mistakes you've made. And that's a big thing that I love to speak about is there's not actually mistakes, there's lessons. And all of those lessons that you've had, you've got this incredible brand now and business that you're running that so many people want to be a part of, which is incredible. And talking about golden brands, there is a lot of entrepreneurs that focus on what their brand looks like. And, it's really, I think too many leaders are really, really focused on those visuals, aren't they? And they take so much time out of their day. And maybe this is a bit of the things that they have to do. And they focus so much on the visuals to be able to achieve what they want in business. What do you think is really important for clarity and confidence in your brand in the visual? What would be the one tool that our listeners could walk away with today?
Well, I don't know if there's one. There's a few things that I
Sure.
can touch on
Give
with
us a
this
few.
question. So I think where I see, because inside the Golden Brands membership, we've got a lot of small business owners that are just starting out. So they're in like that kind of first 1 to 2, 3 years of their business journey. And a lot of people go into business thinking that a beautiful brand is going to sell. And that is absolutely not the case for anyone who has built a business.
Mhm.
It is important, and I don't want to undervalue how important it is to have a high quality premium brand. And the visuals do matter to a extent, but a lot of people get kind of caught up with that and not looking at, okay, is my messaging right? Am I reaching the right people? Do I have great copy? Like, are all of the other elements lining up that are really going to draw in the right audience and going to help me to
Mm.
sell. And I think too, as small business owners, I know a lot of people say online that faceless brands can work. And I think, yes, it can, but it's so much easier if you put a face to your brand. People buy from people. And as small business owners, like you want to see the person behind the founder. You want to hear their stories. You want to hear the challenges that they're facing, what's actually going on, like behind the scenes, what it takes to create their product or to their knowledge or their expertise. Like you want to see all of that stuff because that's what you're going to connect with and resonate with. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think storytelling is a really, really big part of that. I know for us with Golden Brands, from day one, I have just shared story after story after story of all of the challenges we've faced, all the highs, all the lows. I've shared absolutely everything. I've been really, really transparent. And I think that's been really fundamental for us to build a strong community around the brand because our community are going through all the same challenges that we're going through. They can resonate with that. They can connect. They can relate to our stories. And that's what draws them in and builds that know, like, trust factor with our brand. So that's been really, really key. The storytelling aspect. Obviously, I do put time into making sure our visuals and things are all on brand and all, all the content we put out, it would say, well, I would hope that it is recognizable as being Golden Brands content because everything has a similar color, palette, aesthetic, and like everything is on brand for us. But I don't spend as much time on the visuals as what I have done in previous businesses where I've, spent like hours and hours creating the perfect Instagram feed. Like I just don't do that anymore. I don't care about it. And I don't see that as being as important for us. But the copy, especially for our social media and our email marketing, because now everyone's using ChatGPT and everyone's copy reads the same, sounds the same. I think that that's really undervalued about how you can really stand out online with really, really great copy and great storytelling and showing up, being consistent, being authentic, and just being true to your mission, your values that you have in place for your business. Sorry, that's a really long answer to a
No,
short.
there's
There's a lot of key pieces.
so many key pieces, and there's two really key pieces that I wanted to speak to. It's also, as you spoke about Instagram, and there's such a pull to have like this perfect Instagram feed, and you also spoke about connection. So do you think that people that are really focused on just having like it looking perfect visually are really starting to lose that connection with their viewers because they're not actually intentionally, or maybe they are thinking that they're being intentional, but it's just so perfect that it loses. Do you feel that that loses connection?
Yeah, I do. And I would even go like, this might not be a popular opinion, but when I see people post their Instagram stories and use like these filters now, that because I used to use them all the time, everyone did, like, like the makeup filters, and it
Okay.
makes everything look really perfect. Even when I see that, it just doesn't resonate with me. And there's something about it that I'm like, oh, it just kind of gives me the ick now when I see it, even though I used to be one of those people. I used to put filters over everything. I'm like, I actually want to see the raw, the messy. I want to see like the realness, and it just kind of comes across not fake. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, just something. Yeah, I guess not as authentic when you're
Mm.
seeing put. I apologize if you do this, Danny,
No,
because
I don't. And I think one of the things
yeah.
that was really coming up for me is that there is research. So I've dived a lot into this about people are really craving connection. And
Mm,
especially since COVID and in the AI coming in, and everyone's worried about AI. And like you said, as soon as you said about the the AI like on LinkedIn for me, especially with my corporate people, as soon as I see rocket, I know
oh
that it's
yeah,
been written by
yeah,
AI. And I think that what you're saying, and please let me know if I'm wrong, that if people are using filters, then that it's losing that connection. If you're using
mm,
AI and not putting your story and your actual language into it, you're losing that connection. And there's research that over the next 10 years, the people and the leaders that are focused on connection are the ones that are going to build and grow. People are craving it, even though a lot of people kind of hiding behind what AI and the masks, which I talk about. You
yeah.
know, it's losing that connection that people so desperately want.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Mm.
Yeah, we really, it's so true. Like, we crave connection more so now than ever before. And even though we've got like access to connect with millions of people online, we don't often have those, authentic, real conversations as much as we maybe like to. And I think as a business owner, just being as real, transparent about everything as you possibly can be, like that is how we have grown Golden Brands, is by sharing as much as we can behind the scenes, all of the stories. And that's where we have noticed our community has grown. We've been able to really connect with our members and also normalize a lot of problems and challenges that small business owners have, which I think is really important to like open up these conversations so that people know like they're not alone in the challenges that they're facing. So many things that we go through as small business owners. And when you're in the thick of it yourself, it can feel like the end of the world. But when you've got like this community around you of people you can connect with and go to for like that support and guidance, then you often realize really quickly that all of our challenges are pretty much the same. They look a little bit different, but we all face very, very similar challenges.
And having that connection and community is so important. And authenticity is something I'm very passionate about from all different angles, because I feel like a lot of people use it as a buzzword because they
Yeah.
don't actually know what it means. And I'm a big believer that authenticity includes being vulnerable. So, how you're speaking about talking about your story, talking about the challenges you're having and everything. So, I'd love you to share with my listeners, because I do truly believe that you are the description, the meaning of authenticity. Would you what tool could my listeners use now to really show that self leadership and authenticity? So they want to be authentic, but they are actually even just using too much AI, or they're trying to make their feed look so pretty, or, they're so focused on not actually starting the business. This is a big one for me in my membership, not actually starting the business because they don't have the website right. What could be one tool they could do to start today to really
Uh,
bring that authenticity into their business and as a leader?
yeah. Well, I find for me, what has been really helpful, how I show up online, how I show up on stories, how I create content, how I write an email. I write it as if I'm speaking to a friend. So I show up on my Instagram stories and I think about, okay, my one friend, Sophie, who runs a small business, I am speaking directly to her. And that is how I show up and approach my content creation. If I'm writing an
Love
email,
that.
I think, okay, Sophie, this is how I would talk directly to her if I was, having a one-to-one conversation. And I think that comes through in how I show up. A lot of people have said, like, it feels like you're talking directly to me,
Mm.
rather than talking at me. You're actually like having a two-way conversation. And that's how I've tried my best. It's obviously a work in progress, but I've tried my very best to like show up from that place. And that brings across that, I guess, that authenticity
Mm.
and yeah, how I'm coming across. I'm not showing up trying to create content like another business community or like showing up. I'm just showing up as a small business owner, trying to talk to another small business owner who I know is probably going through the same problem and challenge that I am right now. Or I've just learned something and I'm really excited to share it. So I'm like showing up to share that piece of knowledge or value with someone else. Just try and approach content creation from that place and always think about it as a two-way conversation. Like I always try and engage people as much as I can. So yeah, I guess that's probably how I show up online. I can't remember your question about the self-leadership piece, but
So it's the same thing, like, so really stepping into that self-leadership, because for self-leadership is actually being able to lead yourself. So, I speak to a lot of leaders, but my big belief is that you can't lead until you can lead yourself. So what's that self-leadership piece? And you gave the answer. It's like speaking in a conversation. I love that. You might see me steal that, but I will say it was
oh
from
yeah,
Lisa.
go for it.
But,
Not away.
that deeply resonated with me. Speak to people like you're having a conversation. And when you're actually speaking to people in person, speak to them like you're having a conversation as well,
Mhm.
not just speaking at them. Because, I've gone to many networking events, and especially in corporate, people will speak at me about what they think I should know instead of having a conversation. So, and I know for myself, when somebody starts speaking at me and just keeps telling me, I switch off, I'm not listening.
Yeah.
But if somebody has a conversation with me, there's something that you said a while ago. I saw you say it, and I'm sorry if I didn't comment because I was literally cheering here at home. And there was something that you said about the event that's coming up, so your conference that's coming up, and people wanting to be a part of it or something. And I really loved how you spoke about wanting to give back to people. And that's something I'm really desperately passionate about, and I would love for business owners and leaders to understand that giving back actually brings you more within yourself as well. So I know for myself, when I can gift people something, I feel really good about myself. So instead of looking at every opportunity in success of what can I get, changing it into what can I give to be able to expand and grow the people around me. So that was something else I think that sort of dives into that conversations piece that you were speaking about just then, is that really creating that giving back as well. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I think for a lot of us, like we have this like at our core, we just want to serve. We want to
Yeah.
give back.
Hmm.
I know for
I
me and
do.
a lot of
Yeah.
other women in our community too. And that is where we get that joy from. And
Yeah.
that is where we fill our cup. And yeah, it gives us back 10 times more than what we give out. And I think once you realize that, it kind of changes everything for you of how you view business.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. And so when you think about, like, I guess the growth of your brand, so you've been building it for 3 years and you had the three businesses beforehand. With each year of growth, what could be like a really key element where you've been able to bring that into the next year and it's growing more, and bring that into the next year and it's growing more? What would be like the really key element so far?
Do something every year that pushes you out of your comfort zone.
Ooh.
Like one thing. And for me, that was public speaking. I'm terrible at public speaking. Even just doing podcasts like 2 years ago, I'm like, nope, not for me. I can't speak. I'm terrible at that. And I had this huge fear around public speaking. And so I booked in our first conference at the Carlisle last year, and I gave myself 12 months to learn how to public speak, like how to
Oh, that's
get over that fear.
incredible.
And that was my one big thing last year. And then since that's quite a big, or it was for me, a very big block to move past that
Yeah.
fear around, stuffing up on stage or not being confident enough or not knowing enough. Like I had so many just mindset blocks around it. But moving through that, then it's opened up all of these other opportunities for me where I can now speak on podcasts or I can speak at other events and continue to host my own events and not have that fear around it. So
Mm.
that was one big thing. But there have been things that I have done, I think, every year throughout my business, the 12 years or so that I've been in business, that has pushed me out of my comfort zone. And because of that, I've really been able to grow and move into kind of that next level of business. And it's often not the professional growth, it's the personal
Oh
growth
my
that
goodness, yes.
help you to grow nearly 99% of the time. Obviously, the professional growth is important, like to grow, increase your skill set and your knowledge. But when you grow personally, that is what is going to skyrocket your business.
And being a business owner, I believe, is just a lifelong personal development journey.
Absolutely.
You learn so much about yourself when you are you are open to being vulnerable and authentic through the whole process of it all. Yeah, amazing. So I do have one last question for you, Lisa, and this is around the framework that I use. My masterminds embody, and it's energy, the way that you show up in the room. It's everything that you've just been speaking about, mindset, really understanding your own mind and how that works, and being okay to come over your limiting beliefs. Body is the way that you take care of your body to show up with success. EMBO is ownership, so radical responsibility, directions, your vision, mission, values, and then you can become authentically you. So I know that was a really quick rundown of it. Considering what that is, so just think about, like, the way that I think of about it physically is like you just embody who you truly are. And
Mm.
so when you think about your golden brands and how you support small business owners in stepping into that integrity, the authenticity, and showing up vulnerably with that connection, what can be a suggestion on how someone can bring that back into what they're doing?
Yeah. That's a good question because I feel like over the last few months, I've been doing a lot of self reflection about like where I'm at in business. And I've had to really lean into my vision and my values and where I'm actually headed long term. And to do that, I just do a simple exercise, like just some random guided meditations that I find on YouTube, just to help me visualize where I want to be in 12 months, in 3 years, in 5 years. And just by doing that, sitting down for 20 minutes and working through that, I start to get that clarity. And then I can start to kind of reverse engineer that. Okay, that's where I want to be in 12 months from now. What's not aligned right now that needs to change?
Yes.
Yeah, and, like, for me, I've kind of gone through a bit of a season of business where it's felt quite heavy, and there's been certain things that haven't felt in alignment for me. I definitely haven't got to the point of burnout like in my past businesses, but there have been things that have come up where I'm like, "Oh, there's certain things that are just not working for me right now, so I need to pivot. I need to, look at what needs to change here." And I can identify that this isn't just a hard season that we've got to get through. It's more than that. It's like this real heaviness around what I'm doing where things are just not certain things, not everything, just certain things are kind of not feeling in alignment for me. So I've really tuned into my vision, where I want to be in
Mhm.
12 months from now. And I've started to kind of look at all the pieces of my business that are just not feeling in alignment to get there in 12 months. And I've started to kind of map out what needs to change over the next few months in order to help me get to that next stage that I'm working towards at the moment.
Thank you so much for sharing and celebrating your self awareness too around this isn't just a hard thing in business. This is actually something that I need to shift and change. And so, if you didn't catch that, Lisa has suggested that you revisit your vision and values because they do shift and change as you expand as a person as well. So, it might have been great for you 3 years ago, what you are going through now, but now because how you said you've just grown so beautifully, it's time to reassess that. So take that time out of your business to do this because that's what's going to reflect in your success. And if you are a
Mhm.
leader in corporate, it's just exactly the same thing. Take the time out of directing and go back to the values and mission of what you're working towards as a leader as well. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Lisa, for sharing with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to share with my audience on building their brand or just showing up with that connection that you're so fabulous at?
I would just say, I know everyone talks about consistency, that has been the biggest driver for growth in our business. Doing something well and just doing it consistently well over and over again. It can be so easy to be so impatient in business when you're growing. I know that was the case for me when I started out. I was like, why is this not happening quicker? Why does this feel so hard? But really, it just comes back to once you've got that end goal, what you're actually working towards, and you can kind of reverse engineer the steps that you need to take in order to get there, and just set yourself some aligned actions that you can do every month to help move the needle for you and get you closer to those goals. And then just be really, really consistent with it. And when you've got that clarity on what you're working towards, it will be so much easier to do that, especially when times get tough in business and you feel like giving it all up or burning it all to the ground. If you've got the vision, but it is actually important and it will change. But having something that you know that you're working towards is going to help you to keep going when things get really shitty in business.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. Aligned action. Amen. So yes, because that's when you know your vision and values as well. That's so perfect. Thank you so much for your time. It's been such an honor to have you here, Lisa. I look forward to hearing the feedback from my listeners on how they've implemented your incredible tools and suggestions.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Danny.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on the Danny V Show today. I hope you're leaving this episode feeling inspired and empowered. My goal is always to bring you elegant insights with a bold impact. If you enjoyed our conversation, I invite you to subscribe to the show and leave a quick review. Your feedback not only means the world to me,